Russia to take advantage, as Ukraine is now vulnerable. It's day 1555 of Russia's operation in Ukraine. Let's dive deeper. It seems like Russia's long-term strategy has worked perfectly, as it has now left Ukraine defenseless. The Russian foreign minister already suggested that they might take advantage of the situation and could severely reduce the threat that is stopping their armed forces on the ground. As you are aware, because of rapid adaptation and evolution of FPV drones, conflict has gone into a stalemate. Both sides are having difficult time advancing and consolidating captured areas. As a result, massive gray zones have formed along the entire front line. At the moment, steady advance is only possible in the urban and forested areas, as it's relatively easy to hide from FPV drones compared to open fields. If you follow the conflict regularly, you may have seen that this issue became severe at the start of winter, around the time Russia was blocked from using Starlink terminals. We saw Ukrainian paratroopers take advantage of this situation and launch a counterattack near Heliopol. Losing access to Starlink seems to have put Russian armed forces on the back foot. Because even though Ukrainian armed forces are suffering from manpower shortage, they are able to hold the front line. In a recent interview, Western media already reported that 4 to 5 soldiers can easily hold the front line with the help of FPV drones. So it has become now more important for Russia to address this problem. Despite the difficult situation, Russian armed forces have not given up. In fact, they are almost attacking on the entire front line. Let's look at the southeastern flank of the Sumy front. In our previous report, we saw how Russian forces captured these 2 villages and captured half of Ryazan. According to the recent reports, in the last couple of days it was confirmed that Russian forces have now captured the entire settlement and surrounding areas, and as a result have leveled the front line. Russian forces will likely now launch an attack on Krasnopilia from 4 axes. Ukrainian sources already sounded the alarm. Now moving to the Vovchansk front. Here previously we saw how Russian forces, taking advantage of forested areas, systematically captured the entire northern side of the river. Since last week, they have now crossed the river from Bachkova. In the last report, it was reported that they have captured the northern part of Avdiivka. In addition, they continue to expand eastwards along the border. Recently, this area has also come under Russian control. Now the second new axis is south of Vovchansk city. Sources are reporting that Russian forces have started attacking along the Seversky Donetsk River. As fights are taking place in Shestarivka, it is currently considered a gray zone. Now let's look at the Kupiansk front. Here no major movement has been reported. Most of the city is considered to be a gray zone, as soldiers from both sides are spotted frequently. Furthermore, Russian forces are having a difficult time capturing Vaslivy. One of the main reasons would be inability to properly support their assault troops, because of FPV drones. As I told you, moving in an open field is almost guaranteed to be met with a FPV drone. Now moving to Kostiantynivka. This is the front, where Russian forces are having the biggest success. In our previous report, I explained how Russian forces broke through the southwestern flank of the city and reached the city center. After which I also explained how Ukrainian forces in this area will be in a very vulnerable position, as they could be encircled quickly. And after the recent update, it seems like they have likely withdrawn some of their forces from the pocket. As fights are taking place everywhere, most of the western part of the city is considered a gray zone. In addition, Russian forces from the north are now slowly pushing towards the center as well. However, they are unable to maintain a stable foothold. However, the city is currently on the verge of complete collapse, because if Russian forces close the encirclement, around 60% of the city would collapse, and a large number of Ukrainian units would be encircled. Now moving to the Heliopol front, here the situation is very severe for both sides. A massive portion of the front is in gray zone, where both sides overlap each other. Elite forces from both sides are participating in the attacks on every single village you see on the map. Even though the front line doesn't move, losses are significant. It could be one of the most brutal battles of this conflict. Now let's talk about how Russia might solve it. As you know, Russia since the last 2 months has been pounding Ukraine with hundreds of long-range drones and missiles every day. Even though intercepting drones has become relatively easy thanks to FPV drones, intercepting missiles still remains difficult. Ukraine still highly depends on traditional air defense missiles. And because of the situation in the Middle East, their supply is basically halted. Yesterday, Zelensky himself confirmed that he sent a letter to President Trump requesting these very missiles. Basically, Ukraine is out of air defense missiles. Because even if they have some, they will likely be used to protect very important assets, leaving others exposed. Yesterday, the Russian foreign minister suggested that Russia could target warehouses and factories of the drones in Kiev, and suggested Western officials leave the city. While several other commanders are calling to destroy all bridges of the Dnipro River, which could weaken Ukrainian logistics. What do you think Russia should do now? Subscribe for more frontline updates. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.